Hey, everyone. How are you today? Welcome to the normal spot for the Lunch and Learn, which today is Experts Unleashed. One of my favorite things to do here is Experts Unleashed. I love bringing you quality talent that will give you quality information on growing your business. And that is what I have here today. Today, I'm sure you already know what's going to happen, but we are going to introduce Miss Diane Hochman. And she will carry most of this because she is far smarter marketer than I ever will be. And I am certain you will get value out of this today. May I make a recommendation? Paper, pencil, note taking somehow, don't care what it is, but I would highly suggest that you have something to take notes with. Not one time have I sat in an audience listening to Diane Hochman where I didn't want to have something in front of me to take notes with and really, keep that value, the nuggets that she's going to deliver. Anyway, with that being said, listen, Diane Hochman is an unexpected home business hero, and she started out in 1999. I think the internet was just an infant at the time, with a network marketing company trying to find a way to be home with her two daughters. Yeah, her two beautiful daughters. She did everything she was told to do. And when she ran out of more market, she took to the internet to figure out how to meet more people to introduce to her business. That's where she discovered attraction marketing. Starting from scratch with homemade how-to booklets and brochures, she built a mail order direct response business, which in time she moved to the internet. Since then, Diane has expanded to affiliate marketing, consulting, information marketing, training, and speaking. Today, Diane is the top earner at a marketing education company and takes extreme joy in teaching her quirky marketing techniques to anyone who wants to break free and live for more. So with that, folks, please welcome Miss Diane Hochman. Diane, how are you today?
I am well, and as usual, Joe, experiencing delicious technical difficulties, but that's okay. We jumped on and started catching up, and then I didn't make sure I was set. So we'll figure it out because I'm pretty sure I'm almost done uploading this thing. But hey, everybody, and I'm so excited to be here. It's such a pleasure. And as I always say, if anybody can run a business on the internet, if I can run a business on the internet, anybody can. And you're going to see that demonstrated today. So how's it going?
Love it. Love it. Well, we've lived through a lot of technical challenges, Diane, both on stage and off a stage and online and offline. But I'm sure we'll get this figured out today. But I'm going to turn this time over to you and remove my face from this and let you have some fun. So enjoy, and I will be right here.
Okay, well, great. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here on Experts Unleashed. And I do have a beautiful slide deck for you, which apparently is uploading and processing at the moment. So I'll just take a few moments and chat with you. And hopefully this will work out. And if not, we'll do it all verbally. It's not a problem. Hopefully you have a notebook and a pen, because I'm going to cover some things that I think will be really helpful to you in your business. Now, I don't know about you and what you do. You may be in real estate. You may be in some type of sales, insurance sales. You may be in all kinds of things. Hey, let's see if this is going to let me put it up. I'm in the show. Look, Joe, I did it. I did it. I did it. I am very excited. Okay, so the topic today is triple touch communication. And as Joe said, my name is Diane Hochman. I currently live out in Connecticut, although I do tend to travel around a lot. I get around. And let me dig into the slides, and I'm going to tell you a story about how I got here today. And I'm going to show you something that would be really helpful to you. So I've been a home business owner for the last 23 years, as Joe mentioned, as he went over my little bio. I've been doing this for a long time. In fact, I've been doing it since kind of pre what we think of as the internet. I mean, I've been doing it since it went, you've got mail. And I've basically built a business in all different kinds of ways. I think the bottom of the slide got cut off there, but this cartoon actually was a gift for, I think it was my birthday. I can't remember, but those are my two daughters. and me in the middle. And this is a fun cartoon. They turned us into like kind of cool Disney princesses or some such thing. And I started my business. I was working full time at a community college. I was a student activities director. Prior to that, my education was in Spanish. I was meant to be a Spanish teacher and then ended up working in a college. And I started the home business. And again, I'm going to show you how to translate what I'm talking about today into any type of business. But I started my business because I wanted to be home with my kids. I had worked through having my first daughter. And then 3 years later, I was pregnant with my second daughter. And I decided that I wanted to stay home. But I started a home business. And everything that I had little kids. So I needed quick and simple. Now I was a professional and I made a decent living, although it's funny because now I look back at it and I go, that was it. But at the time it was a decent living. It was a good job. It was a state job. So in order to stay home, I needed to make enough to cover, my not being out at work. When you took away the commuting and suiting up and the daycare and everything, it wasn't a ton of money that I needed to be making, but I did need to be making a living. But I needed quick and simple because I had, kids just kind of making a mess and kids spitting on me and all kinds of good stuff like that. And anybody who's a parent knows what I'm talking about. I was not technical, and at the time things were pretty rudimentary anyway, but I was not technical. I had zero sales background. Again, I worked in education. And the only thing I knew how to do was to be a teacher and a mom. So when I approached my business, I approached that from that perspective, teacher and mom. So what do teachers know how to do? Teach. What do moms know how to do? Keep kids busy, keep crafty, fun things around, keep kids fed, keep them from crying, keep them from being cranky. So when I started out, the directions I was given, and again, I started in network marketing. I branched into all different types of marketing and all different types of business. But back then, I started in network marketing. My upline team, and again, if you're not network marketing, that means just the people that got you started. They were 3 hours away, and their only advice that they had for me was to go out and talk to people and bring them to a meeting. Now, I want you to understand, there was no Zoom, there was no YouTube, there was none of the things. It was a physical meeting. And of course, on a Tuesday night, I couldn't drive 3 hours with a prospect, 3 hours back to a meeting in the middle. We're talking 7 hours on a Tuesday night, and that would be if you didn't hit traffic. It just wasn't possible for me. And really, it just didn't make sense because I did try to do that on my own by myself, try to put together some of those things. But the whole point of the business was that I wanted to be with my kids. And if I was constantly busy in the evenings at bedtime, at story time, at dinner time, that wasn't what I got into it for. So I started to get kind of creative. And I look back on it now and I laugh because it was mom tricks that I was doing. So these are my two kids. This is in 2003. For those of you that might know who that man in the middle, that is none other than business philosopher Jim Rohn, who's since passed on. A very big impact in our lives, and very big impact. The reason why the kids had a picture with Jim was because my little daughter, and this is Sarah, she was, I think, 6 at the time, 5 or 6, I think 6. 2003, she was 7. My bad, she was 7. She had overheard me listening to Jim Rohn tapes, and he said that every kid should have two bikes, one to rent, one to ride, and one to rent. And he had this big talk about kids and learning to be entrepreneurial. And Sarah overheard it as mom was listening, and she wanted to ask him because she didn't like bikes. She liked scooters because back then those Razor scooters were really popular. So she wanted to go ask Jim if it was okay if she had 2 scooters, one to ride and one to rent. And of course he approved, and she was very happy. She went back with her grandparents, but this was at a home business event again in 2003. So this was a long time ago. And I had to figure out how to make a living. We were $40,000 in credit card debt that we had to run up. Well, we moved into a house and we needed things, and I wasn't getting paid anymore. because I wasn't working anymore. And we had to figure out how to make ends meet. So I had to get crafty. I had to start thinking outside of the box because holding meetings in my house in the evenings wasn't an option. Taking people to a meeting that was 3 hours away wasn't an option. There was no Zoom. Conference calls at the time went on, but unfortunately, long distance was very expensive. So again, not what we have today, unlimited long distance on these things and unlimited video, video classes and video, meetings just wasn't an option. Thank God it wasn't, because it got me thinking very differently. So the first thing I did, and again, I'm not sure what you guys are seeing, but on my side of the fence, the slide is cut off. But the first thing I did was I learned how to purchase leads, and I would call them, and with a script, the whole thing. And it was something that I could do besides going out and just trying to talk to people at the mall. It didn't require me to take the kids out or have to get a babysitter to go out. But it was, again, at prime time, the time when I would have been putting the kids to bed and giving them bubble baths, etc. And also being more of a kind of an introvert and with no sales background, I found it to be kind of awkward. So I have to tell you the truth, I kind of bombed at it. I bought the leads. I would make up excuses not to call. I'd always have some reason, and they'd kind of sit, and I didn't do a good job, truth. The second thing, right? So I'm working at nights. This is not what we want, right? Then I decided, and I know Joe Kennemore, who is our host today, will really enjoy this story. I decided, I heard some people talking about doing postcard marketing. And I was on a pretty tight budget. I was trying to pay off that debt. So every dime that was coming in, I was paying off that credit card debt. And I went down to Staples or Office Depot, whatever, and I bought some of those Avery postcards. And it was really popular at the time because they were designed so that you could put them in your printer and you could print them, except being not technical. And I don't know what it is about printers. There's one behind me. Printers don't like me, and quite frankly, I don't like them. And back then, everything was about printing cool things on neat paper. This is when we first had colored paper, designed paper, and we'd make different flyers and stuff. And the postcards that I started to put through, they got jammed in my printer. And every sheet of those postcards was costing me, a certain amount of money. So I was looking at them like they were dollar bills, and it was kind of freaking me out every time I would jam one, or it would misprint, or it wouldn't come out right. And so I actually turned around and I started handwriting postcards. And the reason why is because it was faster for me to handwrite them than it was for me to put them through the printer and mess up, and I was losing money. Now, what I did was I went and got some fun magic markers, and I got some sparkly stickers or scratch and sniff stickers, because what was I? A teacher and a mom. So I was writing in purple ink and putting scratch and sniff little grade. Remember those, like in third grade, guys? You remember getting those on your paper, like you did a good job, and they gave you like a little grape sticker, and you'd scratch it and you'd sniff it. So I started sending out postcards, handwritten, hand stamped. And it was crazy, but it was still faster for me to do than dealing with technology. Later on, I learned that the post office actually had these pre-stamped postcards, so I could buy those, and I would do the same thing. I would handwrite them, and I would put stickers on. And I did get a little bit of a response for those, and I think mainly because it was so unusual to get in your mailbox. But at the time, people were still getting a lot of mail. Today, we don't get as much. But it kind of worked a little bit, but not really enough to be profitable. So far, I had calling leads, and I was shy, and I was awkward, and I had a hard time with that. So I didn't do well with that. That wasn't profitable. I did postcards, a little bit of action, but it really wasn't profitable. And I said this already. I jammed these things up. It was a mess. And if you've ever been in a tight budget, losing something like that was so horrible. And I knew I couldn't afford more. So I really had no choice. But this wasn't very profitable. So then email was kind of new. You guys remember the old movie You've Got Mail, and that was going on. I had gotten my first PC. I remember getting it. It was really expensive, and I was so excited. It was big and heavy. And I got email addresses. And this was before there were any laws about emailing anybody. And I was just emailing people one by one. So what I do is I'd put the kids to bed, and then I'd go sit in the spare room, and I would just send out emails, and they were kind of copy and paste emails. And I got a couple responses on that because, again, back then, not that many people were getting much in the way of email. Not like today, we get a lot of email. Back then, somebody would get like 2 emails a day. So my email actually got read. I got a little bit of response, a little something. Because it didn't cost me anything to do, it actually was profitable. The only problem is it took hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And every night I would put in like 3 hours. I put the kids to bed at like 8, and I'd stay in that room till 11 o'clock. Not necessarily the best for a relationship, etc. But I did it. Okay. So after all of this effort and all of this trying to get out of going and prospecting, I know we had the incredible Andrea Waltz on the last episode of Experts Unleashed, and she teaches about going for no. I was afraid to go for anything. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what I was doing. I was afraid. And maybe I was trying to avoid prospecting. I'll admit, maybe I was. But I also was deeply committed to the kids, and nothing seemed to be working. I was losing money. I was getting really frustrated. Okay. Really frustrated. It was like, I'd stay up and work every night. It was like 3 hours a night, at least 5 nights a week, if not more, because a lot of times I worked on the weekend. So I was putting in 15, 20 hours a week and more during the day, when the kids were taking a nap or whatever. I was putting in a lot of time and nothing was really working. But I was determined to build a business without having to leave my kids every night. I was determined. Why did I want to do this? I don't know. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I was very fortunate. They sent me, my mother was sure that I would want to work. My mother, my mom and dad wanted to give us a better life. They were blue collar, or they wanted us all to go on and do these other things. And then here I was quitting my secure state job to be home with my kids. And my parents all thought I was crazy, but I was determined to make this thing work. Because my kids were the reason I started this. And this is me the day I had my second daughter. Okay. This is right around when I was starting the business. This was my why. A lot of times people talk about getting into action. You won't unless you really have something that's important to you. This was very important. So one day in the middle of my frustration, trying to crack the code, trying to figure this out, I was listening to a marketing training because I used to listen to a lot of tapes. They call me the Walkman lady around town. Back then it was cassette tapes. I had a Walkman. It was always strapped onto me, and I always had headphones on. If I was in the supermarket, I had headphones on. If I was at the, whatever, Walmart or wherever I was going, I was like a cassette lady. I was trying to develop myself. I was trying to change the way I thought. Again, I came from kind of blue collar folks that didn't have a lot. I was trying to learn to think prosperously. I was trying to learn to think like an entrepreneur and a business person, which was a big stretch for me because nobody, and I mean nobody going back generations, had ever been an entrepreneur in my family. I come from the long line of get a good job, put in 40 years, get your gold watch, retire, go fishing or whatever type of thought process. So here I was trying to break the mold. Listening to this marketing training, I heard something. And I went, wait a minute. By the way, this is a picture of me at the celebration dinner the first time I made $10,000 for a month, which was unbelievable. Okay, unbelievable. The fact that I could possibly make money like that. So this is back then. The trainer called it, and by the way, the person who was training sold a postcard marketing system back then, a postcard marketing system. He would sell you the leads. He would sell you the postcards. You'd slap the labels on the postcards and you'd send them out. Okay. And he called it call, mail, and email. Pretty simple to understand, right? But I call it, triple touch communication. And I don't know why that's split off, but that's okay. Triple touch communication, triple touch communication. I had been trying every kind of communication. I had tried the phone. I had tried personally going out and prospecting. I had tried mailing postcards. I had tried calling people and reading them a script. But I had never considered tripling my touch on any individual lead. In other words, if I had people that I had called and then I went, it didn't work. I had people I had mailed postcards to and then I went, it didn't work. I had people that I had emailed and then I decided it didn't work. But I had never done all three to one person. I had never called, emailed, and mailed a person. I had only done one type of communication with them. So this was pretty exciting because I started mailing postcards to, emailing, and calling each lead. Now, again, this was back in the day, it was pretty rudimentary. I did 30 a day. I still hand wrote the postcards and put stickers on and licked the stamps. I don't know if they had adhesive then. I don't know. I still did that by hand. I did 30 a day. I would often do it, at the table in the afternoon while the kids came home for their after school snack or something. Or I would often do it if we were watching TV or a movie. I would write out the postcards when I was doing other things because I love that. A lot of people say don't double task, but busy work, I like to double task. I would email in the evenings, like I told you. And then during the afternoon, I would call and leave messages, very, very brief messages designed to tell the person to watch their mailbox and watch their email. I'd call in the afternoon on purpose because I didn't want to talk to the people. Okay. I didn't want to do a sales pitch, which is the exact opposite of what I was being taught. I was being taught, get the person on the phone, do the script, do the sales pitch, close the sale, and on that first touch. So I was doing this. It was like everything was like boom, 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 boom. 30 a day, right? Times 7 days a week. That was 210 people that were being touched by me a week, 800 a month, and out of that, a certain percentage would buy. So email hadn't worked, mailing hadn't worked, calling hadn't worked, but there was something about the triple touch that caused them to take notice. Now, as a teacher, I look back and I think about it and I think about there's something called learning modalities in the teaching world where we know that some people learn better through their ears, auditory learners. Some people learn better by reading a book, so they're visual learners. Some people learn better by doing something physically, doing an exercise. That's kinesthetic learning. And good teachers have all different types of learning built into the lesson plan so that every kid has a chance. Every kid has the best opportunity to learn in a way that's best for them. And if you look back at your schooling, you think about it, there were some teachers that you love and some teachers that you didn't, some projects that were hard. Like me, for example, I'm an auditory learner and I'm an auditory demonstrator, right? So, or a verbal demonstrator. So if I listen to something and you told me to give an oral report, like doing something like this, I actually prefer to do it without slides because I'm somebody who could demonstrate orally very easily. Other people getting up in front of the class made them fall apart, right? And I digress because I'm kind of on a tangent. I'm just trying to get you to understand that different people learn differently. So what started to happen was some people wouldn't take a call. Today, nobody takes a call. It's very hard to get people on the phone unless you text them first. But some people wouldn't take a call, but they'd get the voicemail and then they'd see the postcard and then they'd do what I asked them to do, follow my directions to go where I was telling them to go. Some people didn't really read their mail or put it in a pile on the counter, never looked at it, but they got the email because they use the computer a lot. Some people didn't check their email and they might not have seen my email for weeks. So what was happening was the triple touch was causing them to notice my offer. Okay. And that's when it is exciting. I began with handwritten postcards, individual emails, and quick calls done by yours truly. I'm going to tell you, can I tell you guys a side, like a secret? I so much didn't want to talk to the people that I would call them up and I would call, like I said, in the afternoon, and I would say, hi, I'm calling from Diane Hochman's office. I'm her assistant, Susan. we found your name as a person who was looking to lose some extra weight because I was selling weight loss at the time. And Diane has a great ebook that shares her story, how she lost over 100 pounds because I had lost 100 pounds. And I would drive them to the site, but I would make believe I was somebody else, because if somebody did happen to pick up and they asked me a question that I wasn't prepared for, I'd actually say, you know what, I'm so sorry. Ms. Hochman just hired me to call everybody and make sure they knew about the offer. Let me have her call you back. And then I'd get off of the phone with them and I'd freak out and then I'd call the person back. But basically I was just plowing, triple touching, moving. Over time, I graduated to printed postcards first on my own computer because I learned how to print them, and eventually I learned how to order postcards. But I have to tell you the truth, even when I ordered postcards back then from the printers, I still put stuff on them to make them stand out in people's mailboxes. I learned what an autoresponder is, which is just a tool that lets you bulk email and actually create a follow-up series. So when I put someone into my system, they were getting that email right away, but then they were also getting a series of emails. And eventually I hired someone that would make those phone calls. Or later on, I also found software that I could use where I could do a voice broadcast where I could record something and it would send the messages right into people's voicemail. So there was it didn't even ring their phone. So it didn't have a chance of them picking up because all I was doing was promoting. Okay. I didn't really want to talk to the people at this stage. I wanted to promote them so that they would go into my system, and I wanted to have the ability to start sorting people through automation. So I started doing goofy housewife tricks, stickers and purple magic markers and all of these things. And eventually I was driving them to a website because websites were new, a website where they could get more info. They actually downloaded my little ebook. And over time, I had built a machine. Okay. This thing was a machine. I was accessing lists of people where I could put people into this system. I had automated the calling. I had automated the postcards and the mailing. And you're going to see in a minute, I'm going to talk about how magical it is today and the things you can do today. And I had automated the calling. And as it became more and more profitable, because the system was sorting through the people and driving them to order. In the beginning, they had to call me up because there was no online ordering. There was no way to take an order. I didn't have merchant accounts connected to websites and all that good stuff. People would just call me up and they would be directed to have their credit card in hand, let us know if you wanted vanilla, chocolate, or berry, and whether you wanted program A, B, or C, which are the 3 different programs. And literally my phone would ring and people would be like, hi, I'd be like, hi, Diane Hochman's office. And they go, oh my God, it's you. I'm so excited to talk to you. I want to place an order. I go, great. Hang on 1 second. Let me get that down for you. Do you have your credit card in hand? Yes, I do. Would you like vanilla, chocolate, or berry? And they'd say chocolate or whatever. And then I'd say, great. Do you want program A, B, or C? And they'd tell me which one they wanted. And I would take their name and their address and their credit card info, and I would place their order and have it drop shipped to them. Later on, we were able to just connect them right to carts, and they were able to buy online. And then we'd call them up as customer care. And all of a sudden, we were no longer the evil salespeople, but we were an advocate and a customer service type of role. And this magically was bringing in ridiculous amounts of volume. The little housewife who had no idea what she was doing, no sales background, was winning all the trips and all the prizes and getting on the stage. And then around 2005, actually 2006, 2007, people just kept asking me to teach about triple touch communication. And I ended up going out and helping people. The mail order side of things bridged into booklets and all kinds of things. And it became pretty much a magical machine. The rest is history. So this is how I went from somebody that had no clue to somebody that went through a lot of struggle, to somebody that started to see some success, to somebody that really kind of lives uh, a fun kind of life because most of the stuff that I do is just running on autopilot. So the little housewife that could had found a way to be with her kids while still earning a great income. And this is the girls a couple years ago. This was on Thanksgiving Day, actually. And today they are 26 and 29, both living in New York City, working at a company that begins with G that you guys tend to do searches on the internet for. You use their company to do searches on the internet, so you can figure out what that company is. I'm incredibly proud of my girls. They're absolutely independent, living the life. One just called me last night from the park in Manhattan. She lives in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and she was walking her dog and showing me all those different things. And it's been an incredible ride, absolutely incredible ride. Now, what's happened is over the years, I've shown people how to implement the triple touch marketing concept in many different ways for many different businesses. I've worked with small local businesses, local restaurants, etc. In fact, during COVID, I did a lot of work with people that all of a sudden were in trouble. They had never prepared. They had no internet systems. They had no mailing list. They had not created an email list or gathered their customers' contact information. So I helped a lot of people with that. I've worked with real estate professionals. I've worked with small stores, pretty much anybody that's looking for that type of thing. Now, the reason why I point that out is not because I'm looking for clients, because I'm not. I'm on the run. I'm very busy. But because I want you to understand what's possible for you to do. And it's not just for a mom that wants to put scratch and sniff stickers. Today's technology, including mailbox power, you can do incredible things. Mailbox power alone, when you log in, it allows you to set up systems. So like, for example, I used to mail them one postcard. Now, with a lot of the accounts that you can get at Mailbox Power, postcards are included. You just pay the postage. Can you imagine that? You know, you don't have to worry about, like I did. I was like worried about if I misprinted a postcard, I'd be losing money. You can't lose money. You can set up a whole system where the person gets a postcard every month or however you want to do it. You can pre-create them. You can make them absolutely beautiful. You can go in the back office and build your own mailing list where you can search by demographics, all the people that live in this zip code that have an income over this amount or that own a home, or there's all different demographics that you can pull. You can incorporate gifts and different things. Today we have with email, we have incredible autoresponder tools that allow us to set up email sequences. Remember, when I started, I was doing a call, an email, and a postcard. One. That was the triple touch, and it worked. Today, you probably need a little more action to get people's notice. But with postcards, I've done so many different fun things with cards from Mailbox Power. I've done crazy pictures of me, and I've done all kinds of crazy fun stuff. We have a whole bunch of designers that'll do it for you. You can create your own, which I've done quite a bit, so you can go either way. And so email, you can do all kinds of automations, all kinds of sorting. Again, does it have to be fancy? No, it worked when I did it like manually. Can you make it fancy if you have a staff or people, or maybe you're a little more technically inclined than I am? Absolutely. Or can you learn? Of course, we have training every day. So we also have nowadays software, and I think I put it in here. Let me see what's in here. You can include text for our quadruple touch now, right? So you can text now, have a texting system, so you can do voice messages and text messages. You also can learn how to retarget your lists of people on social media. And what does that mean? That means maybe somebody hit on one of your things and you generated a lead, and now they can only those people start to see ads from you on Facebook or other platforms. So that would be 5-touch. What would that be? Quintuple touch or whatever, because these people are getting postcards, they're getting calls, they're getting texts, they're getting emails, and now they're seeing your ad specifically served up for them on social media. And what starts to happen is they think you're everywhere for pennies. It costs you pennies to surround your prospect with your message. And when you keep it light and keep it fun and keep it interesting, the next thing you know, when it's time for them to list or buy, when it's time for them to get a chiropractic adjustment, when it's time for them to join a home business opportunity, when it's time for them, whatever your business is, to order a pizza, right? When it's time for them to get their hair done, the only company that they're going to think of is yours, because you've surrounded them with triple touch, quadruple touch, quintuple touch marketing that is connecting with them in magical ways, and you become the obvious solution to their problem. The key is to touch, retouch, and touch again, pulling the prospect closer and closer and keeping you at the top of their mind until they're ready to buy. And almost every day, I got one today, literally today. Almost every day I get a message from someone saying, okay, I'm ready. I've been excited to work with you, and now's my time. And they're literally, just like they did back in the day, having their credit card out, ready to go. They're ready to go. And it takes so much of the stress off and so much of the hours and hours and hours of endless work off. And Mailbox Power is a very important part of this type of marketing machine, because it allows you to automate and it allows you to set it up so that the person is constantly hearing from you. And guys, mail order, I did a lot of mail order back in the day. I did a lot of buying labels, buying leads, creating pieces, also using pieces that colleagues built. I've done a lot of different things with different demographics, etc. Do not neglect mail, because it's the easiest one to say, First of all, with Mailbox Power memberships, your postcards are included. Can you use greeting cards? Of course. And the basic postcards, right? Can you do fancier, bigger postcards? Of course. Can you do greeting cards? Of course. Can you do, there's ones with greeting cards included. There's all kinds of options. But when you think about your mailbox, how many things are you getting in there anymore? Most people have their bills being, sent via email, etc. So there's only a handful of things in there. It's a very important touch. A very important touch, and a way to do something visual for those people that are visual, right? Remember, go back to auditory learners, kinesthetic. It's also a way for people to touch something from you. People that like to read, and that's email. You have all these different touches. It surrounds the person's mind, and it makes them only think of you. Gang, it is noisy out there. It is noisy. Look around. It's just, and now there's so many different platforms. And, I like to teach people about, multi-channel marketing and all these different things. But if there was one thing, and I even use TikTok. I'm on TikTok. Okay. I love it all. But if you want something that's simple, remember I said when my kids were little, I needed something simple. Call, mail, email, the triple touch is the simplest thing you can do. And if you get it automated, it takes almost no time a day to be constantly tumbling your prospects around and touching them. This technique is even more important in times like today, where people are being bombarded. Okay, your prospects are being bombarded. And most people, let's see what I put, so few marketers take the time to reach out again via different modalities. So all it is hit over and over and over again for all these different companies. And when you use this concept, what happens is it feels more like a hug than a hit. And that hug is what's going to make that person feel safe. It's going to make the person come right to you. And this, my friends, has been my secret all these years. Oh, the slide on here breaks, but Diane Hochman, and that's my story. Joe, that's how it happened to me. That's how it happened. Why am I not hearing you, Joe? You're muted.
I learned something new every time I listen to you. And today I learned that you were Susan and Diane. That's pretty cool.
I was. That was my imaginary friend's name when I was little, and I decided to make it my additional imaginary friend. So.
Absolutely love it. I have to say, for this audience, this has been amazing. But a couple of things really quick. Listen, a lot of people demonize email, Diane, and it bothers
Really?
me tremendously. Yeah, they demonize email, and they shouldn't, in my opinion. We do get a lot of emails every day, and I don't read a lot of them because there's no value there, and I'm in their little world, right? Would you speak to a minute on how to add value into an email, or what kind of copy or content people could use? Something that would be of value to this audience in regards to email. And I used to be the guy who ran around and said, mailboxes, not inboxes. But that wasn't accurate. I quickly learned that demonizing email was a bad thing to do because there are people that read email. We all read email every day. It's just, which emails do we read and why do we read them? So would you mind speaking to that for a sec?
And I know that I'm well known for teaching email because as I kind of graduated into that because that was the big demand for many years, and then now it is demonized. Guys, email. Ask any internet marketer. Ask any internet marketer. Email is their most profitable channel. Period. Over now. Okay. The question is, how do you get the people to read your email? And yeah, we do. If you today, I challenge all of you, including you, Joe, go into your inbox and look at the emails and notice which ones do you automatically delete, because there's a bunch of that you're going to automate. Now you're still getting the email. Perhaps you're subscribed to their email list, but you're going to automatically delete probably 60% of them. And then there's 20% that you're going to open, and you open the emails from that person most of the time, or that company. And then there's 20% that you won't delete unless you're one of those email have to empty your inbox people every day. I am not. I'm going to save them for later and then I never get to them person. But 20%, a lot of people will save because they know there's something good in there. There's something good in there, but they're not going to read it at this moment. Which, by the way, isn't that what we do with mail from our mailbox? We take it and some things go directly into the garbage. Some things we open immediately, and some things we leave there to look at later, maybe a catalog or something we leave there to look at later. And the catalog is a sales piece, right? It's going to sell to us, but we want to look at it later, maybe because we want to savor it, or maybe we want to have the time to go through it. Maybe it's our favorite clothing company or whatever it may be, or video equipment, like a photographer like you. I'm sure you get catalogs from different, video and camera companies and stuff like that. We want to look at it. We just don't want to look at it immediately. So the question becomes, how do you get people to open? And the simple answer is you need to know your market and you need to be speaking into them instead of at them. It's profound, right? So our subject line, is it something that makes them curious? Is it something that makes them go, what is she talking about? Or is it something that goes, tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, big webinar. Well, I'm busy at 9, click, you delete. Is it something that makes them go, what is it? And by the way, when I use cards from your company, almost every time I use them, people put pictures of them on social media. And the reason why is because the cards speak into them, not at them. They're interesting or funny, or and somebody's going, I'm not interested or interesting or funny. You can learn to be. I promise you, you can be. You can learn. But it's all about the market. What is the market worried about? If you're a roofer, you need to talk about the things that people do when they're procrastinating on getting a roof. You need to talk about that embarrassment that your mother-in-law is coming and there's a leak that you guys keep putting a bucket out, and you can't put a bucket out when your mother-in-law is coming. You need to talk about the things that are in the mind of the prospect. So you have to speak into them. And that's a whole nother course, and maybe another day we can come back and we can talk about that a little bit. But email is the most profitable thing going out there a lot of times. I think mail can be extremely profitable, especially when we think of mail as leading them somewhere that has more information. So much copy you can put on a card. There's only so much copy you can put in a card. But what you can do is use the card to get them to go. That's what the email does. It's the email engages them to get them to go somewhere. And that's the magic.
Yes, and you are accurate. And folks, the only email I've ever saved ever in my life was Diane Hochman's first email she sent me. And she literally just said, it was really, really simple. Hi, Diane over here. I'm not going to send you an email every day or 5 times a day or even twice a week. I don't know. Whenever I have value to deliver to you, I will. And I'm like, oh my God, what a simple, simple message to an audience that, loves what you do and wants to hear from you. I know I'm not going to be deleting because I'm like, well, it's going to come whenever there's quality information. Last question for you, Diane, today. So is there some type of threaded message that should be happening between a text or a call, an email, and a postcard?
That's a great question, because I will tell you that today a lot of people are using systems where you sign up for their follow-up system or their list and you give them your phone number and they're texting you the exact same thing as they're emailing you and potentially sending you via regular mail. I recommend that you use different formats or different messages, because if I just got an email from you, and the thought process that a lot of people are using is people don't open their emails, but they read their texts. So I'm going to send it to both. I tend to use email for longer messages, thought processes, ideas. Depending on what you're selling, it could be about, what happens in the winter if your roof isn't right, or, something more meaty. I use the text messages for something more immediate. And I use the mail to drive people somewhere with a longer message. So you really kind of have to think about, I always ask myself whenever I'm doing a marketing piece, what is the outcome I want to happen from this piece of media? Where do I want them to go, or what do I want them to do? So if I'm creating a system that I'm marketing to someone, I'm probably going to use somewhat similar messages because they're cold. If this is a cold lead and I don't know who they are, I'm pretty much using the same message in 3 different places to drive them into my system that's online. Once they're online with me, I'm going to hit them with different messages with different media. If they're cold, it's the same message. If they're warm, it's different messages because I want to keep them engaged with me. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So if it's somebody I don't know, I'm going to communicate the same message through the 3 different medias. And
I'm just trying to catch their eye. Yeah. I'm just trying to. I have one outcome for all the pieces, for sure.
Right. And typically most companies have more than one message or more than one call to action, so to speak. So yeah, makes tons of sense. Well, Diane, any last words for this audience?
Well, just guys, I don't know what your business is. I was just a little housewife trying to make ends meet. Never in a million years did I think I'd be invited to come hang out with audiences like you guys and talk about all these things. I was doing like the most rudimentary, the most simple. The big key is think about that audience. What's important to the people you're trying to communicate with? Not what's important to you, which is getting the sale, right? What's important to them? And when we use that in the communication and we're speaking into them, and then we're surrounding them with communication with multi-touches, they start to develop trust. And when trust is there, it's a lot easier to close a sale all day long. So today we can do a million touches. I'm talking triple touch and 3 angles, but today we can be hitting them from every which angle. The question is our communication causing them to be annoyed, or is our communication causing them to be drawn and attracted and in the end trust us so that the sale happens almost automatically? Keep that in mind when you guys are out there marketing.
Love it. Thank you so much, Diane. Listen, folks, I so appreciate Diane being here today. She's a great friend, mentor, and I learn from her often. So I'm happy to have you here. Thank you so much. If you want to know more about Diane Hochman, it's really easy. Go to dianehochman.com and you will find out more information. I'm sure she probably has a few classes on writing emails and copy and a few things like that. So enjoy. Folks, listen. Thank you for your time today. I know it's your most valuable asset, and you just gave us 49 minutes, 50 minutes, and I really, really appreciate that very much. Thank you for being a customer of Mailbox Power, and just Thank you in general. Have a great week. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.